This is CBC Vancouver News.
Deadly crash. 3 people have been killed after a plane went down in Chilliwack. And Thanksgiving budget bite.
It's unbelievable how much things cost now.
How are Canadians coping at the dinner table amid higher costs?
Right now I spend like $80 in a couple things.
Plus, after a deadly grizzly attack, what's behind the change in the behavior of bears? Good evening. Thank you for joining us. I'm Janella Hamilton. 3 people are dead after a small plane crashed in Chilliwack this afternoon. It's not clear what caused the plane to go down, but RCMP say around 2 o'clock, a Piper twin-engine plane crashed into a forested area beside the Chilliwack Motor Inn on Yonge Road just north of Highway 1. The manager of the nearby Chilliwack Airport says it happened just south of their runway. Fire crews and police raced to the scene. Mounties say 3 people were on board, including the pilot, and all of them have been killed. Police are now contacting the victims' families. Investigators with Canada's Transportation Safety Board will be arriving tomorrow. Police in Delta are asking for the public's help in identifying a suspect after a church displaying pride flags was vandalized overnight on September 22nd. Police released a video today that appears to show a man on a bicycle approaching the Ladner United Church before shattering 2 windows where pride flags were hanging on display. The man is dressed in dark clothes, including a mask and a hat, and is wearing a backpack. The bike has some unique features, including fenders, light-colored brake lines, and light-colored front shocks on a dark frame. Anyone with information is being asked to call Delta Police. It's Friday night before the Thanksgiving long weekend, and as turkeys thaw in homes across the country, hundreds of stores in Western Canada are pulling birds from the shelves. Safeway, Sobeys, Freshco, IGA, and Thrifty Foods have removed all Sunrise Grade A fresh turkeys between 5 and 8 kilograms with the best before date of October 11th. A statement from Sobeys explains the product did not meet quality standards, but gives no other details. No recall advisories have yet been posted to Health Canada's recall website. Many people will be sitting down for a Thanksgiving feast with families and friends this long weekend, but as Michelle Gassoub reports, inflation is still gobbling up grocery budgets. Here's how some Canadians are coping.
I want a big, nice dinner, and we're having turkey with all the trimmings, and yeah, I'm not holding back.
Shoppers say this year, that turkey with all the trimmings feels like a splurge. Many are on the hunt for a discount.
Cranberries are on sale. I just got some cranberries, so you can't find deals, but you gotta look.
Ahead of a holiday weekend where food is king, the receipts are long and the bills big.
We're actually shopping for 12 people. It's about $400.
This was $500.
$500.
For 2 weeks of groceries, for really 2 people.
There is some news to be thankful for this weekend. Data from Statistics Canada shows inflation on groceries was at 6.8% in August, down from 8.5% in July. But when it comes to those Thanksgiving favorites, the cost of turkey is up 18%, squash is up 63%, and pumpkin is up 12%. Still, many say it's a splurge they're willing to make.
We tend to open up a little our purse strings a little bit more and or reach a little deeper. And yeah, absolutely. It's, but you know what? The return protein on a turkey is one of the highest of all the proteins, just to let you know if you want a little trivia.
If cooking a bird for hours on end isn't really your thing, there is a one-stop shop in town where you can get all the fixings plus a little something extra.
So it's I put in with turkey on it, stuffing, and topped with cranberries. So if you went to the grocery store or you don't want to cook up a whole big meal and it's too expensive, then you can come here and for under $20 you can get yourself a Thanksgiving dinner for sure.
With grocery prices still soaring high, after this weekend, many shoppers will be loosening their real belts, but perhaps tightening their financial ones. Michelle Gassoub, CBC News, Vancouver.
Traditionally, the Thanksgiving weekend is a time to express gratitude, but for many British Columbians, feeling grateful is tough amid a cost of living crisis. Local food banks are doing what they can to help.
We are always grateful that our community does give so much to our organization so that we can pass it on to our clients. However, when everyone knows how stretched people are. So we have so many clients that are asking if we're giving out turkeys and hams for Thanksgiving. And unfortunately, we don't have very many to pass along to our clients. So we're really having to triage who gets them, which is really hard on staff. It's really hard on our volunteers. And unfortunately, it's really hard on our clients because then they're having to try and figure out how they're going to budget that in to purchase a turkey already on a budget that's stretched so thin. So it's been really hard to have to say no, that we're not able to give everyone a turkey. So it's been really challenging. We want to be able to give a really well-rounded and wonderful Thanksgiving to every client. But when you're feeding, upwards of 200-300 people in a single day, it's hard to meet everyone's needs above and beyond what we're already giving.
And now a note about the story we're about to tell you. It does contain some graphic sexual language. BC Conservative MLA Bruce Banman shocked the BC legislature on Wednesday, standing up and reading excerpts from a book he says is available in BC schools. The Abbotsford South MLA says he's concerned about books available to children, which he calls sexually explicit and disturbing. We have decided to show you the moment as it took place in the legislature. And again, a warning, the language in the clip you're about to see is sexually graphic.
Mr. Speaker, I would ask that the House brace themselves for the following words from one such book called Eleanor Park, and I quote, "I know you're a slut, you smell like cum, nothing but a bitch and heat."
Member,
end quote.
Member, please do not use that kind of language.
I apologize, Mr. Speaker, and I actually would retract those words. Mr. Speaker, this language is deeply disturbing. As a grandfather, it shakes me to the core when I imagine that children could be exposed to this deeply disturbing, degrading language in British Columbia Public Schools libraries.
And while Bruce Banman did retract the statement, the BC Conservative Party posted the interaction on their social media feeds, with many applauding the party for its action. So we wanted to take a closer look at the book, what was said, the controversy the incident has sparked, and the political change in the legislature this moment signaled. John Hernandez has more.
High schools in BC offer stacks of young adult books to teens, including this one, referenced by MLA Bruce Banman. It's called Eleanor and Park and was written about 10 years ago.
The book is really about feeling completely alone and isolated. This book actually won the Prince Award, which is a pretty big deal.
This librarian gave me a crash course on what the novel is about.
It's actually this very tender story of two ostracized teenagers who are bullied, who experience racism, one of them.
Ozerny says the author of this love story doesn't shy away from strong language, which emerges in select chapters when its characters are subjected to verbal abuse.
A lot of the intense language in the book is actually what resonates with teenagers. When the book first came out, teen readers were saying, hey, this sounds intense, but this is actually indicative of some of the stuff that we hear at school.
The excerpt read by Banman in the legislature actually contains quotes from two different parts of the book, the words said by the lead character's bullying stepfather.
The passage is really not representative of the tone or feeling of the book. Books like Eleanor and Park, even though they can have some strong language, they can have some content that parents can absolutely object to, but these books teach us empathy and compassion and point of view.
Have I read the entire book? No, I have read parts of it, but I have not read the entire book.
The Conservative MLA contends this book is available to kids as young as 11 years old in Abbotsford.
It is in the library and they have access to it.
CBC News reached out to the Abbotsford School District but did not receive a response. Still, Ozerny says the book is meant for teenagers and typically assigned in consultation with parents.
Just by having these books on the shelf with this stronger language does not mean we're simply handing them out willy-nilly.
This isn't the first time that this book has become political. It's been the subject of some book banning campaigns in American school districts. And while Bandman says he isn't calling for a ban, some political experts say his rhetoric isn't too far off.
I think it's more likely a kind of a culture war sort of effort to try to suggest that this government is endorsing making that kind of material available to 11-year-olds.
This political scientist says the move is likely meant to distance the BC Conservative Party from BC United and target voters who oppose sexual orientation and gender identity policy in schools.
The heart of conservative voters in BC is up for grabs, and these are identifiable kinds of policies that you can try to use to swing those voters.
BC United's leader has since vowed to keep learning materials age appropriate.
That's the biggest complaint that most parents have. So while I can't speak to that specific issue, I can tell you that there are legitimate concerns out there.
While BC's premier calls it a political move that takes attention away from more important issues.
To have culture war distractions, frankly, and people trying their best to drive wedges between British Columbians is not something we should tolerate here.
This teen novel, a symbol of a shift at the BC legislature, which now has 4 parties vying for power. John Hernandez, CBC News, Vancouver.
The city of Nelson is warning its residents about a family of grizzly bears that has returned after an attempted relocation earlier this week. In an online post, the city says the mother bear and 2 yearlings have once again been spotted in the community. The city is asking anyone who sees the bears to report it to conservation officers. In Banff, a deadly grizzly attack is top of mind for some hikers right now. Renee Filipponi tells us why this time of year can be dangerous and what's behind some changes in bear behavior.
Enjoying the changing colors of the fall comes with a risk here: bears.
You know, we never want to encounter them, but if you do, we just, you want to just no precautionary, back away. You're in their space, just remembering that, and just stand your ground. I think is a safe bet with both the black and the grizzly.
Alberta Parks has issued 2 notices after encounters in Kananaskis country, west of Calgary. This is video shot in West Bragg Park. A grizzly is on the chase, looking for its next meal. It's a critical time of year for bears, called hyperphagia, where they fatten up in preparation for hibernation.
If a bear is having trouble building up fat reserves, it absolutely will change their behavior, just like it would for any of us, right? There's that will to live.
Last week, a grizzly killed a couple near Banff. The bear was skinny for this time of year. In BC, there has been a major spike in black bear sightings as they get close to communities scavenging for food.
The big ones are garbage, organic waste, bird feeders, fruit trees on our properties. Right now, pumpkins, so if you have a pumpkin, please store it inside.
And the record fire season is making it worse in some parts of the province.
The forests are burning and, incredible amounts of forest being destroyed. So I think that would be displacing and putting pressure on bears on their food sources as well as their denning sites.
These Albertans are intent on enjoying the wilderness.
We have bear spray that we travel with, try and make noise, bike in groups instead of on your own.
Taking precautions so they can share the great outdoors with the bears. Renee Filipponi, CBC News, Vancouver.
Players on the Toronto Raptors team, alongside the National Basketball Players Association, have donated $10,000 to the Strike Fund for the Teaching Support Staff Union at SFU.
I understand how much TA do for the university. So on behalf of the union, on behalf of myself, we applaud y'all's efforts and continue to fight.
Union members are striking for a new contract that includes improved pay, a stop to wage theft, and pension for sessional instructors. The Raptors' donation came ahead of the team's open practice at SFU Burnaby. COVID cases are on the rise in this province. The BC Centre for Disease Control says hospitalizations have increased 58% in the past 2 weeks, and deaths from COVID are up as well. This count doesn't include unreported cases or people who tested positive with an at-home kit. 24 people died from COVID in the last week of September, up from 9 in the second week of August. The province is encouraging people to book appointments for their fall booster shot. Invitations are being sent out this month.
With these kind of sensors, it's kind of you sit in the office and you get a good idea what's going on with the plant.
Why some BC farmers are turning to unconventional methods for harvesting. That story is next. Thanks for staying with us during our commercial-free live stream. A Saskatchewan welder is making a name for himself with silverware art sculptures, hammering, bending, and melting pieces that range from a small dragon to a life-size replica of the T-1000 from Terminator 2.
I take unwanted silverware or stainless, any kitchen utensils, and I make them into art pieces. Basically, I'll start with even picking up a spoon and just moving stuff around together, seeing what I can shape with it, start bending it. Sometimes I start creating one thing and it turns out to be another thing. It just takes over and I can see it coming together, so I just keep carrying on that process. The first thing that I built was a dragonfly for my wife, and it was made out of actual silverware. And I found out real quick you can't weld silverware. Somehow it kind of melted together and it became what it was, but then I realized you have to make it out of stainless.
I see a spoon and a fork and a glass. What do you see?
I see endless possibilities. I've got totes and totes full of cutlery that is just waiting to be shaped into something. And it'll tell me at the time what it wants to be. I had a friend, he got into an accident, his son, and I was welding with him at the time. We had a big project for the university, and it was actually using stainless. And the stainless job actually happened. We were building it during the accident, so I took over the job while he was looking after his son. And that's kind of where I learned how to weld stainless.
And you took it on
And then
there.
took on from there, and this is what I get. Little chicks, one in an egg. I found people like three things: either shiny things, rusty things, or colored things, like paintings. I'm not a painter. I do like the rusty things, but the stainless, for some reason, it just shines. And you can do a lot of stuff with it. You can put it outside, you can put it indoors, you can put it anywhere.
Farmers are feeling the ripple effects BC's record drought and our brutal wildfire season. As our Yasmin Gandam reports, they are turning to unconventional harvesting as one way to adapt.
They're going to be so surprised and happy to see strawberries.
Berries like this one will blanket this greenhouse come the holidays, an unusual sight at Christmas dinner.
Could this potentially be the future?
I think so. I think more and more we're going to have to ensure our food security by protecting it in ways that we do in a greenhouse, for instance.
Researchers at Kwantlen University's Institute for Sustainable Horticulture in Langley are growing berries out of season. With a $1 million grant from the Weston Family Foundation, the family owns Loblaws and Shoppers Drug Mart. Scientists say it's sustainable.
2 ceilings, basically, of insulating air. So it's an energy screen. And then that'll help keep it warm in the winter here, and we'll use less natural gas or solar or whatever we're using for heat.
It's one way to keep farming during the winter, especially as climate change poses more threats through drought and wildfires.
We tend to have enough water for agriculture in BC around the Fraser River because we have a big river, but not all areas do. And the prairies in particular, when they have a drought, if you're far from a river, you're going to be you may not have enough water for irrigation.
AI technology also makes it easier to grow with less labor and more efficiency.
With these kind of sensors, it's kind of you sit in the office and you get a good idea what's going on with the plants, with the microenvironments in the around the plants, and just makes it easier to monitor them.
He says AI is already in farming through self-driving tractors and robotic planters, but it is expensive. And as for dairy farms, a greenhouse is not really an option.
We don't do a lot of confinement. We depend on those open ranges. We depend on our cows to self-fertilize.
The push for more innovative farming comes as the BC government funds 16 projects to support farms with new technology. It's meant to help keep them growing in the face of climate challenges. Yasmin Gandam, CBC News, Langley.
Here we have a live shot of downtown Vancouver and a reminder that the Lionsgate Bridge will be down to 1 lane, single lane alternating traffic until about 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Darius will have your full forecast coming up next.
Those people who thinks New Year's Eve is just a big anticlimax? Do you spend all night wondering why you paid so much money and why you're wearing a cheap suit to hang out with people you don't even know? Well, I agree with you, so I figured we should take a look at some of the things I won't be doing for New Year's this year. I won't be wearing a tux, but it's the biggest night of the year for tuxedo rentals. What are the popular tuxedo styles?
This is actually the most popular here. It's a 3-button notch, similar to a suit-like.
And do you have any left in my size?
We absolutely.
Yeah. So let's go try it on. Now, do you come along with the tuxedo rental? Somewhat better than Brad. And this is what all of the fanciest people are wearing to their New Year's parties. So, now that you've got your party outfit, where's the party? A good choice might be Party 1999 at Robson Square.
Capacity is going to be about 2,500 and tickets are selling like crazy right now. If you like Las Vegas and you want a little feel like Las Vegas, you can walk right across the hallway down here into what we're calling the Las Vegas Showroom. The Las Vegas Showroom. That stage is oh, that's great.
And is Joe Pesci going to be here?
Joe Pesci is not going to be down here. I'm hoping more for Sharon Stone.
Okay. What are your plans for New Year's Eve tonight?
Get together with a few friends and probably head down to Bar None, I think.
Gathering with my family.
I'm going to be partying like it's 1999, just don't know where. Meditate, pray.
You're not going to party like it's 1999?
I'll wait till the year 2000 for that, buddy.
New Year's Eve is also the biggest night of the year for video rentals. At Videomatica, they double their normal volume. So, now what video can I get to kill a few hours tonight? Here's a good one. JFK, Director's Cut. That's a few good hours. Let me take this one and get them to check it out for me.
Oh, it's reserved for tonight already.
Reserved, okay. Now here's a good one. Outbreak, all about viruses. My favorite for a New Year's Eve party.
Ooh, do you want the bad news?
Reserved as well?
It is reserved for tonight.
No JFK and no Outbreak, but I bet they have a very Brady sequel. Do you have this one?
Oh, very Brady sequel. Oh, lots of those.
And if somebody comes in at 11, are they going to get the movie they want?
I got to get a party hat. That's probably all.
So that's just a few of the things happening in Vancouver on New Year's Eve. And if you're in my neighborhood at about 12 o'clock, well, don't bother knocking on the door, because I'll be in bed. Daniel Getz, CBC News, Vancouver.
BC Culture Days continued tonight with a Day of the Dead exhibition where people are being encouraged to bring photos of their loved ones to hang on altars in the heart of Granville Island.
It's time for a little bit of music.
And I could find no better place to be than here with Vancouver in this month celebrating Latin American heritage in Canada with some great Brazilian music, but we all come together here tonight to celebrate what unites us, which is this very vibrant culture.
Right now we're over 178,000 people who speak Spanish or Portuguese, and it's a great opportunity to actually tell people where we're coming from, how we understand each other. We have some events that are actually online, some activities that are going to be physical. You cannot miss it. If you want to really have a taste of what Latin America is here.
So this is the incredible thing about this place, is that people from all around the world get to come and celebrate culture.
The weather update is brought to you by Direct Buy Furnace. To cool and clean the air in your home, call Direct Buy Furnace. Installing Train, the most reliable heating and cooling brand.
Darius Madavi joins us now with some other weather news before we get to BC. Darius?
Well, there's a named storm that's heading up the Atlantic coast, heading for the Maritimes, and it should arrive by tomorrow evening local time. And it's going to bring some very heavy rains, some extreme winds. We're going to be seeing not quite the same situation we saw with Lee, so the Maritimes getting spared by a little bit because the wind gusts won't be quite as strong. We're looking probably at some falling branches, but none of the major widespread power outages that we saw with Lee. And so we're going to see these heavy rains, especially the south shore of Nova Scotia, going to be hit particularly hard, and then down into New England in the States. Quebec also being hit quite hard, mainly because there's another system coming from the west. And so when they two combine, they're going to see some very heavy rainfall. If you take the rains that came today, we're talking well over 100 millimeters for some parts of Quebec. So definitely a very dangerous situation we'll be keeping an eye on through the weekend, especially given these wind gusts that are being experienced across the Maritimes over the next couple of days, probably as late as Sunday, even though the storm is expected to get there tomorrow. Now let's take a look at BC. We have really no rain to speak of. On the other hand, we're just in the northwest, making its way a little bit into the interior, but really that's all we have until Monday when a storm comes for the coast. But really, we're dry across the province, so not really much to speak of. In terms of temperatures, though, we are coming up. Tomorrow going to be our warmest day, coming down a little bit on Sunday, sort of in a west to east pattern as that system starts to move in. And then Monday, those temperatures really come down in Vancouver and further inland like Abbotsford. And then that starts to make its way into the interior by Tuesday. So temperatures coming down, returning to seasonal really as we get some more rainfall at the beginning of next week. Really on the holiday Monday, we start to see that. But for tomorrow, nothing but clear skies through the south, a little bit of cloud up north, some rain for Dease Lake in the northwest, but pretty much clear across the province. And here in Vancouver, plenty of warm weather to finish out, or to start off the long weekend. And then we get some rain for the beginning of next week. So something for everybody.
A little mixed bag there. Thanks, Darius.
Thanks, Janella.
That is your late news for this long weekend Friday. Thank you so much for watching. For news anytime, visit our website, cbc.ca/bc. Have a great night.